Hello and welcome back to the platform. We have certainly returned with yet another industry leader who shares insights with people who are willing and ready to learn. We bring this television mentorship program to you at home to enjoy and gain more knowledge on specific industries. In today's episode, we're exploring the topic of copyright, trademark, the music business, and so much more in the creative sector. We're joined by Executive Director of Eswatini Copyrights and Neighboring Rights Society, Mr. Mmeli Hlanze. Let's meet our participants and get deep into the conversation.
Sanibonani Makaya, my name is Mandisa Mamba and I am from Babani.
Greetings everyone, my name is Lyrical Pastor, an artist from Eswatini, Babani, multi-award winning artist specializing in hip-hop and Afrobeats.
Hi, my name is Shay Star and I am from the Kingdom of Eswatini in Eswatini, the Hoho region.
Sanibonani, Kamaraming Verefino Amgomezulu. Then that's Emafuseni. I come from a company called Word is Ltd.
The careers, because I'm in so many careers, the careers I'm in at the moment is the entertainment industry. I'm an artist, I am also an actress, and I am an entrepreneur.
Lyrical Pastor is an artist, a multi-award winning artist. As I said, specializing in hip-hop and Afrobeat. So what I do currently, I'm a full-time artist in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
At the moment, I am an artist, performer, creator, innovator, and serial entrepreneur.
At the moment, I'm director of Word is Ltd. It's a creative solutions company.
I'd like to think these career paths chose me. I've always come along people who would ask me if I'm interested in singing or just sort of like push me towards and prompt me to do music, and it's the same with acting as well, and as well as entrepreneurship. I've just always been interested in business.
I think I chose the career part of being an artist because it allows me to aid into the ecosystem by, sharing my stories to the world, and also giving me a platform to teach people, also entertain them at the same time. So that's the reason why I became an artist.
This career chose me. I believe you need to wake up every day and do what you're happy doing. Making music for me is healing, and creating businesses that create sustainable economy in my country is what God brought me here for.
Currently, I'm in the marketing space, and I think that career path chose me because I started as a podcaster called Word is Conversations. It was the first podcast ever in Eswatini. And gradually we gravitated into artist management, and then now Sigu trying to give creative solutions to businesses and corporate.
I've recently released a song, it's called Echo, and I've also just launched a luxury handbag line, and the handbag line is called Regal.
Well, some of my career highlights and achievements are obviously being a 5-time award-winning artist in the Kingdom of Eswatini, 4-time SWAM award-winning artist, and also performing in big stages like Bushfire Festival, and even across the borders like the Satma Awards. So I think so far those are some of the biggest achievements that I've achieved in the music industry.
The biggest highlight for me in my career has been curating my own show, launching my second album, and traveling the world with my music, namely Los Angeles, New York, South Africa, Mozambique. I could name quite a few.
As a creative, I draw my inspiration from everyday life. I grew up in a family that's business oriented, and I think just in your God placed a creative thing inside me. So I knew growing up it would be a merge of the two, creativity and business.
I am inspired by so many people. I'm inspired by people that are doing bigger things, and one of them is Oprah Winfrey.
I'm inspired by a lot of things, but maybe to answer the question and be direct, I think I'm inspired by life itself, because I could be inspired by everything. I could be inspired by a conversation with someone, looking at a story. I could be inspired by, what's happening out there. But basically, I choose to draw inspiration from everything.
I'm an artist inspired by God. inspired by my creator, inspired to be a better version of myself every single day. What inspires me is to leave a legacy. What inspires me is to rewrite a story. I'm a little girl from Eswatini who grew up to become a mogul.
I'm looking forward to learning more. I am an artist, and I feel like the topic we'll be speaking about today is going to make me a better artist and also just sort of cement me well so that I don't make silly mistakes in the industry.
I'm looking forward to learning more about royalties, you know, and I'm also looking forward to learning more in terms of how I can actually monetize my art and not only just entertain people, but actually make a living out of it. So that's one of the things that I look forward to today.
I'm hoping that the opportunity to sit down today at the platform is going to allow me to learn, number one, you never stop learning. Number two, to network. Number three, to get answers to a few questions I have pertaining to the legislation surrounding the art industry in Eswatini.
Today I wanted to be part of the conversation because we are all, with our mentor today, we are all in the business of upscaling artists because I think we can't just be pushing passion without the business. So I really want to push that agenda.
And with that said, hello and welcome to the platform. We have surely returned, and you know how we love to do it. We are all about mentorship and giving you all the knowledge and insights you need to know to equip yourself for the future. In today's episode, joining us, our champion for the day, we have Mr. Mmeli Hlanze, who is, of course, the Executive Director of Eswatini Copyright and Neighboring Rights Society. He joins us to speak on all the details that you need to know. Maybe if you're a musician, an artist, a creative, someone who's, you know, interested in cultural policy, this is definitely the episode for you. And alongside him, joining me are 4 participants who are well vested in this industry and will definitely gain so much from the, you know, knowledge that he will be imparting in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having me.
And to you, Mr. Hlanze, I would like to welcome you officially. Thank you so much for making time to join us here on the platform.
Sanbonani, thank you for having me. I'm very eager to engage and to try and answer all the questions that you have.
We sure do have a lot for you, obviously starting with myself. And I believe the other participants have a lot of questions that they have for you. We are basically the voices of so many other people that are obviously not able to sit with us here on this table. But I'd like to just track back and ask you, ever since starting, you know, the Eswatini Copyright and Neighboring Rights Society Act, how has it been, you know, when it comes to artists being compensated here in the Kingdom of Eswatini, the effectiveness of this specific act? How have you seen it from 2018 up until now?
Yeah. So it's been quite the journey. For the most part, it's been one of changing perceptions. Mm-hmm. I think the payment is the final step.
Yes.
And what we've had to do over the past few years is change how businesses perceive creations, whether it's music, film, etc. And in the various engagements that we've had over the past 2 to 3 years, we are at the point where a lot of the businesses are now ready to participate in terms of compensating the artists, paying for whether it's the music or otherwise. And I'd say maybe the broadcasters are the closest to that. So we are pretty much close to the finishing line that then begins the next journey, which is now getting the artists to come and register and make sure that we know what music we're going to be paying for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Hlanze, thank you for that. Before I ask my first question, I'm Shay Star. I'm an artist from Eswatini. Lovely to meet you too. I just wanted you to please unpack, for someone who may not understand fully what you do as the Executive Director of ECNRS, just please unpack for us, what are some of the benefits that could come with being a registered artist in your society?
Sure. So Eswakos is what you call a rights administration organization or a collective management organization. Basically, we register creators and their works. So if you're a musician, you come in, you register with us, and you register what works you've been part of. And then from there, we go and we license the different users, whether it's the retail outlets, broadcasters, digital platforms, whoever is using music, they pay license fees. And then we pay those license fees as royalties to the respective artists. So the first benefit is definitely when you become a member of Eswakos, you get paid. You are guaranteed that you're going to get paid for any time someone uses your music in Eswatini and also outside of Eswatini. And then secondly is we do a lot of capacitation, a lot of programs for our members, which involves teaching them on copyright management, how to manage their copyright, and so forth. The other benefit is that we'll soon be rolling out programs which are focused more on the social and development aspect of the sector. So I can't say what exactly, but we will have some grants soon available for members to apply for and get support, and also social welfare programs like funeral cover and other such related things. And then lastly, you just get surety over the fact that if your music is being used, there's someone that's making sure that you get paid. So there's that protection and enforcement. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My name is Vedefin from Wedis. You were speaking about payments, royalties. And in my space, we see a lot of disputes. It's usually Maporisa. And and now it's a guy called Sfiso from Piano Pulse. Yeah. So can you break down the different kinds of royalties and maybe explain what split sheets are?
Sure. Yeah, the disputes happen because the agreements are not made usually. So split sheet is one of those agreements. It's made by the creators, the songwriters. After they've created the song, they need to agree how they're going to split the royalties that come from the composition. Because in music, royalties exist in the musical work, which is the lyrics, the composition, and all of that, and they also exist in the master, which is the sound recording, which usually the label will own, or if you're an independent artist and you're paying for everything, you will own the master. So split sheets need to be there, and most often we see that split sheets are never there because artists or creators put creativity first and the business last. So we definitely encourage artists to have split sheets. We have split sheet templates that we give out as Eswakos just to help that process. And royalties are many really. There's mechanical royalties. Specifically, maybe I'll speak to digital mechanicals because no one's doing CDs and vinyls nowadays, but that comes from the streaming and the download of your music online. You've got performance royalties. Every time anyone plays your music in a public place, you get paid those performance royalties. You also then have adaptation or synchronization royalties. If they take your music and adapt it onto a film, advert, TV, you also get paid those. And many more, really. But I think those are the most important to know of as an artist in music.
Thank you for being here and just teaching us. We're very much open to learning. My name is Mandisa Mamba and I'm an artist. My question is also on royalties. And, artists often assume they are owed huge sums of money and without understanding the finer details. So my question is, could you please explain how royalties are calculated, particularly for airplay, and also what factors influence these payments?
Sure. I'll attempt to answer. That could be a lecture, but I'll just make it brief as possible. So I'll make music as an example, okay. Right? So we said that music exists in two parts always. There's rights that are in the master, and then there's rights that are in the composition. When we're talking about the composition, we're talking about the songwriters, plus their publishers, if they have them, right? So in there, which is dictated by the split sheet, you'd have the composer who made the beat, you'd have the author who wrote the lyrics, and the publisher if they have them, like I mentioned. And then on the master or sound recording side, you'd have the record label and the performers, the people that get to perform the lyrics. Sometimes it's the same person, but sometimes they're different. So right off the bat, we go 50-50. 50% to the sound recording or the master, 50% to the musical works, right? So let's make an example now. A particular broadcaster pays us 1 million emalangeni for a license fee in that year, right? And then we look at the total number of minutes of music played. So as an example, let's just say they played 1 million minutes of music. We then have a rate that we use for that particular broadcaster, which translates to 1 emalangeni or 1 lilangeni per minute, right? We then use our logs or our reporting sheets to look for that particular song, how many minutes it played in that year. So if it played 5,000 minutes, that would mean it earned 5,000 emalangeni in this example. And then 5,000 emalangeni to the song, 50-50. So 2.5 goes to the person or the entity that owns the master. 2.5 goes to the individuals that own the composition, which is the split sheet. So then depending on how the songwriter split the split sheet, that determines how the 2,500 is split on one side. And then on the master side, it depends on if the person who owned the master paid the performers, then yeah. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. Hlanze. Thanks for the opportunity. What I would actually like to know is that, I've heard a lot of artists expressing their frustration in terms of that music are played in places like clubs, and kumbis, and events, and they are not called to perform. I just want to know that in such cases, how can we ensure that they are compensated fairly, and that the usage of their names and their creation, is benefiting them? I know you spoke about the different types of royalties. I think I would just like to know more about how that works, where you find that an artist's sounds are being used everywhere and they are not booked. Do we have something in place?
Yeah. So that's the beauty of the Copyright Act. It's not just protecting the performer who gets to be on the stage, but it's protecting all the contributors who contribute in different ways. So the Act says in Section 60, what you're talking about, the public performance of music, anyone who does that public performance owes the authors, the producers, and the performers. So by virtue of that, that's why we're saying we'll be licensing entities that use music in their establishments, whether it's hotels, whether it's retail outlets, whether it's clubs, festivals, all of those that you mentioned. They'll all pay that license fee, and then all of that money goes into what we call a distribution pool. And then depending on the reports that we get from each and every one of them, that will inform us which songs made money, and then depending on the split sheets, we know the people who were part of those songs who need to be paid. So again, this really emphasizes how important split sheets are, and then secondly, how important it is for creators to then come to us to register. Because if we don't know you, we can't pay you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I actually love how, when you're talking about payments and royalties, sounding like music to their ears. But I know that as an executive director, this has been such, a tough task, especially looking at the key stakeholders. How are you now ensuring that now we are EPIS, I'll make an example because, they're the most prominent radio station in the country. Ufika njani uthi ngifuna imali ya lyrical pastor ya Kingsburg. Kingsburg ingoma ya how many years ago? How are you going to track, as Eswatini Copyright and Neighboring Rights Society, this is how many times they've played the song, because maybe even they don't keep track. How are you penetrating those, gaps in the stakeholders and ensuring that people receive fair compensation when it comes to those areas specifically?
Yeah, so it's
even
a
the
process.
challenges that it comes with. Sorry.
It's a process with many challenges. Because firstly, you need to make people aware that if you're going to use music, and not just music, any copyrighted works, you have to keep a record of what you used. The law compels you to keep record of that, right? So they have to always be able to report what they're playing. Fortunately, for a lot of them, they already have reporting structures in place, especially the broadcasters. They already have program logs and different things that can inform us of what they use. But over and above that, we do have monitoring systems. We've been benchmarking with other CMOs, especially around SADC, and we do have monitoring systems in place that have been up since April. So as far back as April, we can tell you what each radio station has been playing. So at least that part is pretty much covered. So yeah, we will be able to know, and they also have a responsibility to report, because there are instances where we can't listen in, like live music, like at the club. But fortunately, that's why we have stage managers whose job it is to make sure that they know that the artists who performed, what songs did they perform, and they submit those to us. So there'll be different ways we'll be using to track and make sure that we get that information. And where there's data gaps, we'll use just statistical sampling. I mean, it's never 100% accurate. Yeah.
Wow, so
Better than nothing.
Yeah,
honestly.
better than nothing.
No, this is honestly such an insightful platform. There's just so much I'm learning. And I think before I ask my next question, just to add to what you just said, that, you know, it's also important for the artists themselves, when you, like, to even before you perform somewhere, is there a stage manager here? You know, take it even for your manager as an artist to ask these questions, because we don't ask. You just perform at a club and you leave. When you should be asking, is there someone recording, you know, what I actually performed on stage? Yeah, exactly, you know. But yeah, okay, for me, I just wanted to find out, do you guys as ECNRS have a working relationship or an agreement with SAMRO from South Africa? And I ask this just because Eswatini, that's our neighboring country, and when we export ourselves, more often than not, that's our first stop. So our music gets played on their radio stations and in their performance areas. So do you guys have a working relationship with them to be able to get our royalties, because they have a fully functional system on their side already in place?
So we're in conversations not only with them, but with all the other CMOs in the region, Lesotho, Botswana, Mozambique, and the ones in South Africa as well. It's a matter of fine-tuning how it will work, how we'll exchange data, how we'll be remitting monies between one another. It's not final yet, but it's in those final stages whereby we can almost guarantee that if your music is being used anywhere in the region, you will be sorted. And most importantly, on the digital platforms, we're in conversations with the licensing agency that will help us with collecting on almost all legal digital platforms on the African continent. So those discussions are in place, and artists should rest assured that we'll be ready to serve them. But I also want to encourage them that always think of Eswatini as your biggest market before you even blow up in South Africa, because people would be surprised how much royalties they get to make locally, because I mean, your sisters and brothers are here, your cousins, your family, your friends are here, and most likely you're mostly going to be used, or your music rather is going to be used here before South Africa. So, yeah.
Yeah, Bello said, he said royalties, and everyone was ding, 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 because they're all artists.
I can smell the shade.
So my question, so most of my question would be on the business side of things. So we all know, we'd say collaboration is very important, not just between artists, but between brand deals and corporate now. And I did see Banfamba Baba Pupang what. So what should Buster know? I say Buster so blow up here. What should Buster know before he signs the contract between a corporate and him, just to make sure we see the whole thing is beneficial for both parties?
Yeah, well, definitely we need to understand what the corporates are looking for from us. It's the eyes, really, because an artist is a walking billboard. So if you're going to be that walking billboard, you must make sure that now we are protected. So firstly, do you have a registered trademark for your name or your brand? Because we're moving from a point of selling products, which is the music, but then now selling ourselves as the brand. So you have to have a registered trademark and not a company per se, because people confuse company registration and trademark registration, but know that your brand as Lyrical Pastor is protected. That's the first one. Secondly, you must have all your numbers. If I ask you how many people are listening to your music in Eswatini right now, you must be able to say that. If I ask you how many people in Eswatini are reaching you, whether online or otherwise right now, you need to know that, because then that translates to how much you're going to get paid. And I always say never go into a negotiation without leverage. If you're going to go and negotiate with a corporate, have the leverage, have the numbers, be able to back up whatever amount you're going to ask for with the numbers that translate to the brand value, right? So definitely that. And then lastly, the rights involved in that contract. What are you actually giving to them? Are you giving them the right to use your name? If so, for how long? If so, in which countries? Because we know some brands are multinational. Are you allowing them to exploit your name and likeness just in Eswatini or in the whole world? And all of those things then speak to how much the contract is worth. So it's really understanding your worth beyond just saying, I know my worth, but be able to back it up. And once you're in that position, you'll be able to negotiate a fair contract for yourself. And register with the SWACOs, because then we can also give you advice. You can bring that contract to us. Yeah.
Give me the papers, I'm ready to sign them now. So I'm ready to register, honestly. So on that note of collaborations, us artists have this issue of making verbal agreements when it comes to booking and collaborations. So I just would like to know what advice, practical advice you would give us creatives and artists in terms of how to work through contracts.
Sure. I mean, it can get tricky because we're not lawyers, right? But I believe the way the internet is right now and the way information is, it's not really hard to understand a standard contract or even to create a standard contract for yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're an artist and the entity or the person who's booking you is not offering you a performance contract, then as you're accepting that booking, send them your contract or find out, do you guys have a performance contract? Oh, you don't. Let me send you one, right?
Yeah.
And then look through it and then edit what you think you need to edit on your part and then bring it back. If we're both happy, I sign. Because truly verbal agreements, I don't even count them as agreements really, because in court it becomes he said, she said. And then it boils down to who can prove what. But it's better if we have something that's really objective that says, this is what we agreed on and we signed, right? And contracts don't have to be long and tedious. A contract can even be a page,
1 page.
and even 3 pages. You know, I often say standard contract, if it's clear and straight to the point, 3 to 5 pages max. Unless I'm signing over my life. Then I will see by the number of pages.
Mr. Mmeli, you know, I was having a conversation with other artists, and I really sense that there's a lot of frustration in terms of the fact that we're now living in a artificially intelligent world, and really artificial intelligence is just shaping how industries work globally, you know. So my advice to artists when I have conversations with them is that other than seeing this as an enemy, we need to accept it as quick as we can. Because regardless of the fact that we accept it or not, our story can still be told using these tools. And we are still represented using those tools. So I want to know that, let's say probably we adapt and then now we have made maybe an AI Swati rapper, you know, with a following, you know. And then I want to know that how do we then, you know, those royalties, who's entitled to them? Is it the person who created this AI, you know? Or I just want to know how that works. What are you guys doing? What, you know, what are you, yeah, like what are you guys doing to be in sync with the times and also, you know, looking at the future?
Yeah, so the conversation about AI and copyright is an ongoing conversation around the world. Countries all over the world are really trying to understand how AI fits in because we can't stop it. It's here, now we need to find out how to use it in the right way. But as it stands in Eswatini and in many other countries, there's only one or two that have changed, but you need an element of human creativity in order to have copyright protection. Because copyright is based on human authorship. Once you replace human authorship with an artificial, with an AI generator, then you most likely won't have any copyright royalties. You might have royalties in another sense, in brand deals and whatnot, especially if the AI artist that you created has a big following. Like I said, brands want eyes, corporates want eyes. So you can probably get a deal there, but in terms of copyright protection, there's none. There's no royalties for you because no human created the work. However, there are ways to use AI in which you can still have copyright protection. So what I always advise is that do not use AI to replace your own human intellect. Use AI to improve, to become more efficient. So I'm going to write a song and my friend's going to compose the beat and we're going to go into studio. But maybe because between him and I, none of us are engineers, we might use AI to mix and master the song. That's acceptable because the AI didn't create anything, but the AI is assisting. But if I go on an AI platform and I say, can you please write a song for me about XYZ? And then the AI writes those lyrics, there are no, there's no copyright there.
Wow.
I'm sure someone would argue that, but thank you so much for that, Mr. Mmeli. Right now, we will be taking a short commercial break. You know, we've imparted so much knowledge, insights, and conversation. But when we return, you know, we get deep into it. There's still so much more to learn. Please do stick around. We'll be right back.
My future goals are definitely to grow my business even more bigger and also just reach more countries, not only sell my luxury handbags in Eswatini, but definitely outside of Eswatini. I'm an artist and an actress, so I definitely want to infiltrate the entire entertainment industry all over the world.
My future goals and aspiration as a young person are to, you know, own one of the biggest record labels in Africa. And that would give me a chance to help unearth amazing talent that we have across Africa and in Eswatini, to be specific. So that's my aspiration.
My future goal is to change the art industry in Eswatini, to be remembered, to be spoken about in schools, to make a difference, to create productions around the world. Not to bring myself as the greatest export, but to carry with me a legacy of exports, to change the industry of art in Eswatini, to bring business to the forefront, and to contribute to the GDP of Eswatini, taking us to the first world country. Halala.
My future goals as a young person is a comfortable life, and my comfortability comes from seeing other people win, especially the youth. So if you can get to a point where the youth can eat off of their creativity, goal achieved.
Hello and welcome back. If you just tuned in, you are tuned into the platform, and in today's conversation, we're joined by Mr. Mmeli Hlanze, who's our champion for the day, alongside, of course, the superstars of Eswatini. I'm talking about none other than lyrical busters in the house, Shaysters in the house, Belefinis in the house, and of course, Mandisa Mambas in the house. She just dropped.
Oh,
so,
yes.
you know,
Stream echo. Stream echo now.
You see, I'm always surrounded by a table of people doing great things. But we obviously have to get back into the conversation. As much as I'd like to talk about the music, you know, which is such a great thing for you. You know, many creators here in Eswatini are producing such great work. But what we often see is that they struggle to turn their craft into like a consistent income. From your side, what are some advices that you have for them to, you know, manage that and make sure that they monetize their creative, apart from the music? You know, we have people making short films to make sure that they earn income out of their creativity.
Yeah. For me, the best starting point is understand the industry that you're in. I understand that the creativity and the passion for the art can overtake the first step, which is getting the right knowledge, but we have to then take 2 steps back and get the right knowledge. If I'm going to become a podcaster, what is the business of podcasting? How do people make money as podcasters? If I'm going to become a filmmaker, what is the business of filmmaking? How do people actually make money in filmmaking? And so forth and so forth, because the creative sector is large, but all the creative industries in the sector have their ways of how they function and how money is made. So you have to understand the sector that you're in, firstly. And then secondly, like I said, in today's age, we don't necessarily sell the product, we sell the brand. We sell the name behind the product. So we need to focus more on brand building as creators. How do we create our brands to have value? And then how do we protect the value that the brands have created? I mentioned earlier about trademarking, and those interested in trademarking, we do copyright. So trademarking is done at the EIPO, Eswatini Intellectual Property Office at Sokamlilo Building in Babane. You should definitely visit them and find out how they can assist you with protecting the trade name, your artist name, right? Because that's the brand. So definitely we need to build brands, we need to protect brands, and we need to understand the business model of the creative industries that we're in.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Okay, I think my question is actually a follow-up, a very close question to what you just answered. Being that obviously as creatives, we mainly focus on the creation side, as we've said, like, and we shy away from your contracts, your legal agreements and stuff. Mine is, yes, you've elaborated on we need to understand, you know, and that's very high level. You know, it's a macro way of saying, yeah, trademark and, you know, do this, do that. But like, what would be, if you could, to young creative, say, what is your mindset shift? Like the first 3 things they should do, literally, like after this, when I leave the platform, what are the 3 mindset shifts that you would give for a young person to be able to, you know, focus on the business side and not just the art side of their brand?
I would say go and look at who's actually making the money. That will make you understand that you need to be that person. If you go and look at the people who are in the background and go and Google your favorite artist and check who's behind them, who's managing them, or who's their lawyer, or etc., and then go and look at their net worth versus the person who you know, I think that should inspire you to then understand that a lot of the money is in the background. You know, because I think because of how media is, we fall in love with the person in front of our TV screens, right? But there are people behind that make sure that that product gets to our eyes. And as much as we can love that product, there's people behind who get to make a living. And that's maybe another thing, you know, it's not all of us that are going to be on stage. right? And that's something that we need to accept. That's how life is. I started out as a music producer. I quickly found out that that's not where my gifting was. So I moved away from all of that and DJing. So I looked at, but who's helping these guys to get where they are, you know? So for me, that's really the shift that we need to understand. The money is not necessarily in front of the camera. Sometimes it's behind the camera, right? And after that, you will have the hunger for the knowledge. If you were truly inspired.
2 and 3 will follow.
Yeah.
Basically, you'll just be like, mindset change.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been a rapper too. So in a group, and quickly found out because the talent is zero. So I think I follow like a similar path, and following that path, it always has always been the artist just trying to make it to tailor suit it and the artists really do not care about the business side of things, financially, level business wise. So trying to find out from you, what steps can be taken, maybe in as much as they have the people in the background, as like try to dress themselves as in business and trying to dress themselves in value.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because you can't hire someone to run a business that you don't understand. And a lot of artists usually say, I need a team. And I'll be like, what do you need the team to do? And they'll be like, I just need them to do the other things. But it's like, what is that, you know? So it's important for you to be the manager before you can get a manager. Because how are you going to police them and make sure that they're doing the right job? How are you making sure that they're not ripping you off, right? Don't be an expert per se, but just have the understanding, you know, have some control and understanding of, no, I think it should be like this, right? Because if you don't, they're gonna take you for a run. Your money's gonna get stolen, and we've seen it before. I mean, Rihanna not so long ago, her accountant stole millions of dollars from her, and it took her a long time to realize, right? I'm not saying she should become an accountant, but just be able to read a balance sheet and see that my assets, what's happening there, you know? So the basics, really. We really need to get the basics, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do. As a SWACOS, a lot of our workshops are trying to make sure that the artists understand the basics, right? I may not know what a split sheet looks like, but I should be able to question someone and say, where's the split sheet? Because if you can't even question the things that need to be there, then you're most likely going to get ripped off.
Wow. So earlier you said something that sparked my interest. You said the focus is no longer the product. It's now the brand. Which is true, because in this digital age, a creative's reputation is their biggest artist. So my question is, how can artists and content creators build and manage their personal brands in a way that attracts partnership, sponsors, and long-term relationships?
Sure. It's different ways of doing it, but at the core, I'd say authenticity. Be authentic. Don't try to replicate something that's already in the market. Because if you're going to try to replicate something that's in the market, you have to be better than it. Off the bat, you have to be better than it. True. So you have to be authentic as much as possible. So you get to define authenticity. Is it the language for us as Eswatini? Is it our stories, in as much as they can be similar to neighbors, but our stories are unique to us? Is it the way we dress? So find what is authentic and unique to you, right? That's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say, understand how brands work. Understand what a brand identity is, because I think where we lose it sometimes is we're not consistent in our brand identity, right? If my brand identity is this, then there's certain values that should align with that brand. I can't come across as a gospel artist, for example, but you will find me in the club. There's a misalignment there, you know, with the brand and with the audience, because the audience follows what you sell them. They don't really know who the person is behind the brand. So always protect the brand from the person, because they can be two separate people, and that's fine. But always know that when I'm in a setting, people will know the brand before they know the person. So always protect the brand if that's what's paying you. The person has to exist, you know. So we definitely need to understand branding. The IP office, EIPO, they had a branding session some weeks ago. Very, very incredible. So for understanding more on branding, artists really need to visit the Intellectual Property Office on trademarks and branding. But yeah, I think for me, those are the building blocks of building the brand. And then building an audience, lastly. We often rush to put the product in the market when there's no audience. I often say to artists, they say, can you help me release my album? I'll be like, how many listeners do you have on Spotify? And they'll say, maybe less than 1,000. I say, don't release an album. Release singles. Release singles, keep attracting the audience, and then there are certain things that will tell you that now is the time to do this, right? You understand that. I watch a lot of football, right? So over the weekend, there was a big team in South Africa that's playing, that's well followed. The game had to be delayed because the fans were not yet in the stadium. That tells you how important the audience is. Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Mr. Hlanze, maybe to take you back on the issue of conflicts, or rather avoiding conflicts. There's a common phrase in music law which says he who produces the song owns the mechanical rights. Can you maybe unpack what it actually means in practice for artists, producers, and as well as songwriters? Because I feel like by unpacking that, we could really, you know, avoid a lot of conflicts. And
so the statement is not entirely accurate. So remember, we divided into two, right? There's the sound recording or the master, and then there's the composition or the musical work. So he who creates the work or writes the work, whether you're writing the lyrical aspect or you're writing the non-lyrical. Because for us, the producer is the songwriter. We don't actually call them producers. They're also a songwriter. They own the mechanicals. And then he who invests in the recording of the composition owns the master. So the person who invests resources, money, skill, owns the master. The person who creates, who writes, if they don't have a publisher, owns the mechanical rights,
Okay. And, you know, there's one thing that, you know, we haven't tapped into, which is other platforms that I think that we put our music into, any other creative work that, you know, we do. Back during COVID, we used to use TikTok to dance. Now we want money for dancing on TikTok. You know, it's a whole different situation. And if I'm going to use Lyrical Busters Banfabami on TikTok, Lyrical Buster needs to gain from that. Even platforms such as YouTube. I know you're looking so much into Eswatini and, you know, the radios, the TVs, but such platforms, where have you placed yourselves as Eswakos in terms of how will Emaswati benefit from these specific platforms? Because we know that for YouTube, Lyrical Pastor say America because he just wants to get paid on YouTube. When in actual fact, he's here, you know, they have to change locations and do illegal things. It's illegal. It's very illegal. In order to get the money on those specific platforms, how far have you gone in ensuring that we still receive, you know, what's rightfully ours?
I want to throw a curveball, though, to that before I answer.
Yeah.
I don't think there's as much money as we think there. in streaming. I don't think, this is why I was like, we really need to go and check the business model, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about the biggest podcast in the African continent, they don't make most of their money from YouTube, actually. Most of their money is on advertising,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying there's no money
But there's
on
some.
streaming. There's some money. Yeah. So that's some money. We are in talks, like I mentioned, with the licensing agency
Okay.
that will be doing the digital licensing for us to ensure that whether your song is being used on TikTok in China or South Africa or in the US, whatever the paying rate, because the rates differ per country, whatever the paying rate is in that country, that way, that money finds its way back to you. But it has to be millions of views, for it to be something tangible. It has to be millions of views, which is why I'm like, as Eswatini, I don't think that is where we're all going to make money. But what I can tell you, don't take for granted the public performance, because the rates that I just told you, the 1 lilangeni per minute, you will not find a rate that's closer to that online. Because online you're talking about 0.003 cents per view or per stream, right?
Okay, I think my question would be like, just as we wrap this up, and I'm listening to all of this information, and one of the things I'm very passionate about is early childhood development. I focus on the youth. That's what if I'm not creating or running my empires in Jesus' name, I am giving to the young children, and I'm very passionate about education. So my question to you, and as CNRs, just as a team, that do you have an alignment with the Ministry of Education? If not, I would like to challenge you guys to look at that. The reason I'm asking this is because I'm very passionate about when are our children and our future children who are coming going to learn about these kinds of things, because we have curriculums. Are our curriculums still relevant in the school today? In our public schools, there's so much, music is an industry. It shapes countries. There are countries that their highest GDP pull in comes from entertainment. So we don't have art as a mandatory subject in our schools, in our public schools, which is the majority of the schools we have in Eswatini. And that being said, like we're saying, learning that art is not just about the singing, it's the business side. It's being the producer of a movie, producer of a short story. I mean, even just theater work, there's so much reading, writing books, publishing, even spoken word. There's people who make millions off of motivational speaking online, but we don't have this in the curriculum. We don't have these rights that you're speaking of in the curriculum. Royalties, learning. We're learning on the go. We've become business people at night learning the music industry. But how do we make sure that this is what's being taught to the coming, so that my future kid is going to learn this at the age to use it and compete in this world that we live in today, not after you graduate from 5.
Yeah, that's not even a question, that's a statement. I'm sorry.
But I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that, and these are conversations that we have had also with the Eswatini Intellectual Property Office. And there are programs that they do through and together with organizations like ARIPO, African Regional Intellectual Property Organization, IP in schools. Because for me, it's about teaching IP or intellectual property in schools, because it touches across, not just the creative sector.
But to what Shay was saying, I would say for me, taking it a bit further, I would say the creative industry at Hlanze is an industry with very minimal professionals in. So maybe a question to you, Hlanze, what can we do to at least inject professionals into the Lozang San? Someone was telling me about strategies that I find being along they needed, they played the long ball. Bafara, they went to schools, universities, bavulisa my student accounts, and those people grew up and then became long time. So maybe we could try that. There was something like that. Go into, grassroots, go into universities and figure lapo, because I'm trying to know in that law right now. The law space is very saturated, but you can become an entertainment lawyer. But we don't have professionals into the law. Now maybe I think that's what's hurting us kakulu, because nyalo pastor so ufuna manage that come gonna abang manage ufuna in come about we don't have professionals into the space. That's my parting.
Another statement. Now I'm noting down. These are my take homes.
Do you want a pen and paper?
These are my take homes.
They are doing that too. And I know you guys are protecting your futures, and I can see that you've come in guns blazing. But unfortunately for today, that is where we end the conversation. Thank you so much to our participants for all your contributions towards this conversation. I do believe that someone out there somewhere definitely learned something, and even us on here at this table, we learned something from today's conversation. And most importantly, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mmeli Hlanze, for joining us today. You are definitely the rightful person, actually the only person in the country that I know that can speak on copyrights and all of the things that we were discussing today. Thank you so much for making time to join us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the questions.
Thank you. This was beautiful.
And viewers at home, that is how we wrap up today's conversation. We always say we hope you learned something from the conversation or picked up something, that you can use in the future. But unfortunately, today, that is how we wrap up the conversation. We will be seeing you next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. as we continue with another industry expert right here in the Kingdom of Eswatini. And we've been taking it outside of the kingdom, so you never know what we're cooking here on the platform. But until next time, from myself, Tabula Dlamini, and the rest of the team, it is good night and God bless.
Okay. My key takeaways from the platform session today, honestly, the knowledge was abundant, but for me, it was just resonating and reaffirming that it is important for us as artists to see ourselves as a brand, and to, whenever you walk into a boardroom or are ready to sign a contract for a performance or an endorsement or any licensing, read the fine print. And number one, it is important for all of us to be registered with Eswakos as artists, because being paid right, and this is just the insight and the knowledge on that for me has been everything today. The trademark office, where to find it in Mbaban. Get there, get your name trademarked, get that registered. These are just some of the major highlights. I could go on and on. What an amazing session today was.
My key takeaways from today's conversations are that artists can actually get to monetize their work, and they can actually get to monetize their intellectual property. And I learned that do not sell the product, sell the brand. So I'm hoping that I will go out there and share this with a lot of people out there, and that people are gonna watch this show and get to learn what I've learned today.
My key takeaway from today's conversation is basically hope. Today was there's so much hope in the entertainment industry. There's so much help that my artists can go and find, like Mr. Mmeli who was here today.